Yo, what up? It's Tim Brown,
Kyle Sattler.
and we're talking about how to actually get higher on Google Maps in 2025. And, I thought I was doing this right. I thought we were doing what we could to get higher on Google Maps. But then my boy Kyle taught me some things. We can hit that next slide real quick just to give a little bit of background. Certainly want to make this interactive. In the chat, type where you're watching this from. What state are you in? Where are you at in the world? Type in the chat. Where is everybody coming out of?
You know where I came out of?
Yeah.
I just want to address this before we get started because I am in 2 pairs of pants, 2 pairs of socks, warmers. I've had 3 jackets on. I have 2 shirts on. I am freezing. I've never been to Minneapolis or Minnesota in general before. I walked out of my hotel room this morning. It is 0 degrees. I texted my mom the picture, and she was literally like, "You've never been in 0 degrees before." And I just said, "I know. I'm aware." It's really stinking cold here.
Jack, will you call out where people are coming from?
Yes.
Jack's going to tell us where, because we're not able to see the chat in our
San Antonio.
San Antonio,
South Africa.
South
Colorado, New York.
Colorado, New York,
Sam is at the beach in Mexico.
Mexico,
Lucky.
baby. Let's go.
Wyoming, Rhode Island, Greensville, South Carolina, Michigan,
South Carolina,
Charleston.
Michigan, Charleston. Thanks for joining us. This is
Yeah,
super
this is
fun.
awesome.
Super, and that's a little clunky with the back and forth on the chat, but we're going to try to keep engaging you guys because to me, this is all going to make a lot more sense if we're talking about real companies. And occasionally, I'd like to hear a little bit about your guys' company.
Sounds great.
And I'm proud to be partnering with Kyle, Koala Cooling, on we have this new service, which is rankmap.ai. But we're going to kind of try to break down as much of this as we possibly can. We're going to try to give you all the secrets. Everything that we're doing in this service, we're trying to give you as much of that as we can. Obviously, there's a few little secret sauce things, but let's get into it. Hook Agency, 158 Google reviews. We are incredibly grateful to serve the home services industry. And Koala Cooling, let's just do our Google reviews real quick. How many Google reviews
Koala
you got?
Cooling has, but we have both plumbing and HVAC. Between the two, we have over 1,000. And we actually have a slide later on that shows how we ramped up from that over the past 18 months, where we only had 400 before that. So
Yeah.
we've really shot up. And I'm assuming people are probably wondering why they should listen to a guy who's in plumbing and HVAC.
Sure.
I probably should recognize that I've actually been in marketing since I was 19, and my friend Paul Olson, who is my business partner, convinced me to come into home services and help him run a plumbing and HVAC company. So I've been doing that now for about 3 years. Otherwise, I've been a lifelong marketer. And someone who's kind of developed a few different technologies and things like that. So while I am in this field, I use that skill set to help increase Koala Cooling, where we went up last year over 54% with mainly this technology. So
That's incredible.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the next slide here. We got tactics that are outdated, and this list is certainly not comprehensive. There are so many different things that people out there are still doing and wasting their time on that aren't necessarily going to move the needle. And that's not even that bad of a thing. The money is one thing,
yeah.
but sitting there thinking you're making progress when you're not making progress. Keyword stuffing in the business name. We'll just back and forth a little bit.
So, keyword stuffing in the business name, that actually is something that will get you suspended and
Yeah.
blacklisted off Google Business Profile. So that is something that is absolutely no-no. They are very, very adamant about it. I even saw one video, about a year ago, like, well, if you will change your logo to say best HVAC company in, we'll say Minnesota, why not? Minnesota, then you can use that keyword now because it's part of your logo. That's total garbage. Don't do stuff like that.
What if you're a DBA?
Yeah, nah. I mean,
If it looks spammy, it is spammy.
yeah, Google's gonna make you prove it, and they're gonna force that kind of stuff. It's just not a good idea. So mass citation building without quality, that's a big one. I know Tim, you're
Yeah.
a big guy on the citation
I like
regulation stuff.
citations, but I want them to be high quality. And it's
100%.
not, you're not sitting out there like some services will be like 300 really high quality citations. Like that's not a real thing.
No.
Like there's not that many websites on the internet that have legitimate directories. So you want to try to get into legitimate directories. Just don't sit there every month building citations. That's some SEO companies, that's all they do.
Yeah, you're right.
They
And
just
it's
sit
crazy.
there every single month and builds you 50 citations. After a certain point, like I think it's like 100, it's like really kind of beating a dead horse. It's one type of link, and you're kind of checking that box. And once you've got that many, you don't need to keep checking the box.
Well, one of my favorite things, or one of my, I guess, least favorite things in reality is some of these directories will actually have no follow links. And so you're
Yeah.
creating links that don't exist.
Yeah.
It's like, what does that do? That doesn't do anything. And then they get you to link to them, helping build their SEO, but they're not really helping build yours in any way, shape, or form.
Hey, I'm a legitimate review builder. I will get you free, or not free. I will sell you reviews for your Google business profile.
Yeah.
Why or why not should I take that offer?
Lord of mercy. The reason you should never take that offer is because if Google traces back that they're creating the same account, running through the same IPs and stuff like that, which they absolutely can do, Google is super smart. They will, again, it'll get you suspended. It's something that if you're using bought and purchased reviews, they will be able to tell it. And they'll just blacklist you. The end. There's nothing else to that.
And overloading categories. So from what I understand, you even recommend sometimes having different GBPs for like the cooling, the heating and cooling side of business and the plumbing side of business, but not sitting there with one listing trying to like, we do roofing, plumbing, electrical, like how many is too many from your point of view?
Well, so Google's got, I don't know, 500-600 that are just.
Let's answer this question real quick.
yeah.
I'm going to try to answer these questions as soon as you get them. So ask questions, and as appropriate, we're going to answer them. Cody asked, what are citations? Well, it's actually on this: name, address, phone number. I know we're going to talk a little bit about that part, but they call them NAP listings because of name, address, and phone number. It's actually just local directories. So think about any directory. Like an obvious example might be Yelp, but there's 20, 50, 100 sites out there like Yelp. Once you get past that, it's like, is there any traffic to that site? Probably not. But there's, let's say 20. Like, even if you just went out and applied to be part of that directory now, it's a citation, meaning Google is crawling the web and it's seeing different evidence of your company being in this location and that this is a real company. And so it's essentially like a cross check. It's a social proof that it is a legitimate company. It's just one way that they algorithmically check it. That is a citation.
Yeah. So citations, basically, as Tim said, it's basically you're listing in a directory. At a certain point, it just doesn't do much. Are we going back to the overloading categories?
Yes.
Okay. So overloaded categories, Google allows you to basically just set as many categories as you want. For me, as you mentioned, we create separate GBP accounts. So for Koala, we have one for HVAC, which was the one we started with because we started with HVAC. And then we have one for plumbing, which we launched basically November of last year is when we launched that. Or excuse me, not last year, 2023. I'm still in 2024 mindset. Sorry. And so we launched those and we separated those out. And we were able to put all of our HVAC categories under HVAC and all our plumbing categories under plumbing, whereas before they were crisscrossed throughout. I know there's a lot of companies that they'll do siding, they'll do roofing, they'll do HVAC plumbing. I'm getting to different companies here, but a siding and a roofing company, they may also do decking, or they may also do gutters or things like that. Each one of those things is going to intermingle, but Google really only counts your primary source, and every primary category, and every secondary category needs to support that primary one in one way or another.
Gotcha.
If it doesn't, it's not that they're going to ban you or blacklist you. They're just not going to push that out there.
All right, let's go to the next slide here. Local SEO is both. Like people are wondering, is it Google Maps SEO? Is it the same exact thing as local SEO? Well, it also includes the regular organic listing. So we are going to talk a little bit about that today, about like how to get higher in that area, which is like we've been deeply specialized in that for a long time. And now we're with your help. And like I said, I think it's cool as hell that it's with an HVAC and plumbing company's help to level up our service. We're adding that Google Maps SEO thing. And we're going to show you how to rank on both today. But any local SEO includes the map and ranking for those local terms like roofer near me or AC repair more generally. So that it encompasses both things. But the biggest part of our talk today is going to be about the map.
We got a question from Cody. He said, do you recommend setting up a different Google My Business profile for each service? For example, if we do roofing, siding, windows, etc.
So I guess I'll take that one.
Yeah.
The answer is yes, and there's a specific article that Google has to recommend this. They started this probably about 6 years ago, give or take, with car dealerships actually, because the sales side and the service side wanted to be different because someone would get ticked off, the service was so expensive, and they would badmouth, and so then the sales side would get hurt. So there was actually a movement from the car dealerships to separate these things, and so Google started to let that happen. So ultimately, the answer is yes. Now, there's a few requirements in that. Are we getting to that later on, or is that something I can answer here?
Let's get into a little bit more of that later on, but
Okay.
maybe just briefly cover it here.
Yeah, so basically, there's a few requirements that Google has for you that you need to be able to distinguish that you're in that you have a reason for the separation. You can't just have it be at the exact same door. You can't just have it be the exact same office all the way around. There's ways to make it happen. Clearly, we've done it with Koala Cooling. I've helped a few other companies do it as well. It's something that you definitely want to do if you can do it, but there's some stipulations to it that we'll get to at Tim's notification.
So yes, but be careful.
Yes.
Next one here, we've got, here's what actually works in 2025, and we're going to try to keep this to the ones that actually work with no extra bullshit. Next one. First thing I want to talk about, and this is for the main area of Google, but it does help with Google Maps as well. And in some cases, this is like pre your help.
Yeah.
But we used to do location landing pages, and we'd like, let's say we have a roofer in La Crosse, Wisconsin, but several towns away, we had, because we had these landing pages, they'd actually show up in the maps.
Yeah.
Because this helps, even if your maps location, your primary one is in a different city, having separate locations makes Google more likely to show you. And this is a small, like not a small, but it's 100,000 person city. And there is certain, like the things, you have to go much harder when you're in a bigger city versus
Absolutely.
like 100,000.
100%.
And in this case, even the city, like their primary city isn't 100,000 people, and this other one is like 10.
Yeah.
So like it's much easier to show in those. But location landing pages for each of the major cities that you're trying to rank for, and I also recommend towns, like smaller towns. Like if you can rank for those, it can be big money. And sometimes keyword tools like Ahrefs, ahrefs.com, and semrush.com, they don't always show the correct volume for very low traffic terms. So, you know, the volume for Maple Grove roofing might not be high, but you know there's homeowners there that are looking for what you do. So just note that keyword tools get a little muddy when it's low volume terms. Trust yourself and play small ball to win big.
So before we move forward, I just want to say with this one, I've had customers ask me, does my Google business profile affect the ranking of my pages? And the answer is no. Do my pages affect the ranking of my Google business profile? The answer is yes. Now, is it the biggest thing? No, but it does actually make that effect, and it does notify Google that you're in that specific town. It's something that you definitely want to have someone who knows what they're doing. Hook Agency would be a great example of that. Building these location pages to help in both sections, so you're in organic and on the maps with it.
Next one here. And just to kind of note what should be on those pages, that's what everybody asks. You saw the top of that page. It's kind of a sales thing, right? We've got the form up top. We've got a couple bullet points of like what our company does that's different. A lot of people aren't going to scroll past that. They're just going to either submit the form or move on or whatever they're going to do. But there should be 500 words below all that for Google, because Google eats content. And the more comprehensive and the more appropriate that content is, it's good, because if somebody does scroll down and they are going to read it, if somebody does read it and they spend time on there, that's good for your ranking as well. So those are things to think about. Photos that are using this is like a little deeper one, but actually use the keywords in the file name and use it on the alt text. Now, it's funny because that's like the weird little stuff, right? And you're probably thinking, oh, it's easy to do. It's also easy not to do.
It's true.
So it's all the stuff that's little and easy to do and easy not to do that's actually going to make the biggest difference, because guess who's not doing it?
All the other people.
All the other people,
Yeah.
because it's so small. Oh,
Right.
it's just a small thing. But images, like when an image ranks, and you know now images sometimes on the first page they'll have a section with just a bunch of images. If you have great images there and you start getting click-through rate to the page, Google says, oh, people like this page.
Yep.
right? So sometimes it's an easy way to get up front quick. So then you get the click-through rate, and then Google puts your page up in the actual listing.
Yeah.
So images, do not overlook images. I know it feels small. It's a big deal. And then big and obvious answer is meta title with the keyword at the front. And something people are doing wrong now is not using their homepage as one of these. If you have a main city, your homepage is the first thing that's going to rank for anything. And so if you put your keyword, let's say your city name plus heating and cooling, or city name plus plumbing, or city name plus roofing, on the homepage meta title, that's the blue text that shows up on Google when people are Googling. That's the first thing. And the closer it is to the front of the meta title, the more likely it is to help your rank. And sometimes it's not stuffing as much stuff as you possibly can in there. Sometimes it's keeping it simple. So maybe it's city name plus service, 150 plus 5-star reviews. So you got the keyword front loaded, and then you've got the social proof for click-through rate. So it's a little bit of both, right? We're trying to, for the algorithm, we're trying to get the keywords in there. And for the click-through rate, which helps you go up higher, we've got a little bit of social proof.
We got a question
Yes.
from Thomas. He says, are you going to touch on backlinks? We have a competitor with half as many reviews, hardly any photos, etc., but obviously have purchased backlinks. They have like 4,000 of them and have a higher average map ranking when we look at Bright Local.
Yes. Yes, we're talking about, what's Thomas's last name?
Bierman.
Oh yeah, Chimney Doctors. What's up? I'm excited to work with you guys on the service. Yes. I will note that for our stuff that we're doing on the general SEO side, we include backlinks every single month. We're diligently working on that. For the Maps SEO stuff, that's not as big of a thing.
No.
And so we're going to talk through what we do on the general SEO side, and then backlinks. The beautiful thing about Maps is it's not as big of a thing. Local directory listings, I believe in them. We might have a little bit difference of opinion. Let's go to the next one here. Local citations from respected sites. So if you're going to pursue, Thomas, backlinks, the best ones that you can possibly do, things like the Chamber of Commerce. So Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce for you. Actually getting on like local and authoritative websites. Let's do the next slide real quick. This is an example of one of our clients. Local directory listings with a consistent name and address. That can, from what I understand, that can be good for Google Maps. I'm going to let you talk about that a little bit too.
All right.
Chamber of Commerce. 3, niche specific directories. So I don't know what, because I know your business is chimneys. Here's just 2 examples. In the roofing industry, there's the roofershelper.com that has a directory. And in HVAC, there's an hvacinform.com that has a directory. But the more location focused, like Chamber of Commerce, and the more niche focused, like these 2, and there's probably ones in the chimney industry, find them, look for chimney business directories, like niche and local. And the more niche and local they are, the better we've seen them help your organic rankings. And map is a little different. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about sponsoring charities, teams, and other local organizations. You can actually do keyword, this is nerd stuff, but you can put charities and teams websites into Ahrefs or SEMrush, figure out how much authority they have, and then be like, hey, how much is a sponsorship? Could you link to me on the homepage?
Wow.
If it's $300 and that puts you on the homepage and it's got some authority, let's say over 20 domain rating on Ahrefs, nerd stuff for 1 second, bear with me, 20 domain rating, and then there's like a 10 URL rating, which is, sorry, I'm going to be done with this in 20 seconds, but URL rating is the most important one because it's the importance of that page on that site. So if you're buried way deep in the website, it doesn't matter. But if you're on the homepage, it can be big. So do look at the charities that you're working with and ask them to give you a link on the homepage. Ask for the link. When you're on the news, ask for the link. When you sponsor a team, ask for the link. Everyone, say it at home with me.
Ask for the link.
Ask for the link. Put it in the comments section. Ask for the link. That might be worth it just on its own for you guys to be in here because some of you are getting on the news and you're not asking for the link. What should you do? All right.
To me, with citations,
Yeah.
so it should be clear, and it's interesting that you're giving me this platform to disagree with you. That's
Yeah,
great.
I like that. I like because, dude, even SEO experts of different types.
Yeah.
We have these conversations, and let's not pretend we agree on everything.
Yeah, so there's one thing, and I don't know that I disagree fully, except for this one thing. With citations, for me, I believe Google is too smart to care about every directory, and most directories. I think they care about Yelp. I think if you're on Angie, they'll care about Angie. I think that in some of these bigger players, they're going to care specifically on name and address. Matter of fact, this was your slide that I edited and I took phone out because I am 100% confident that Google does not care what phone numbers listed. And the primary reason for that is because tracking phone numbers are a thing. Google's been using them for over a decade, maybe two now. I don't know. I sometimes forget how old I am. That they've been using tracking numbers where they will push a number out so they can track. They expect other people to do the same thing, in my opinion. And so to me, the phone numbers doesn't matter, but name and address does. The only other part of that is I don't want to send people on a wild goose chase of let's put your URL or your business in Yext, and we're going to look at 1,000 other directories that exist. Like we talked about, there are people that will put you in their directories without your permission or approval ever, just because they're trying to build up a directory to make it look bigger. And if you don't have access to that and you've never done it, I don't think Google's going to hold that against you in any way, shape, or form.
And one thing to know on this, I like where you're going with this, that the most important directories matter the most.
Oh yeah, I mean 100%.
And make sure the information is fresh and current and relevant.
Absolutely.
I was actually just doing this when I was Google your company name right now and look at that whole first page. Just Google your company name. Everyone go in the next tab, Google your company name. Look at the page. What else is on there that's old? Because sometimes that's coming from directories. I was actually doing that for us like a couple days ago, and I was like, it's like a picture of like our team with like 5 people, and this is like 5 years ago,
Yeah.
and now we're 33 people
Much
or whatever.
bigger.
So I realized that was coming from a directory that I hadn't updated in a long time. It didn't feel important to me, but it was on the first page of Google. It was this old photo that didn't really do our company justice of like how much manpower we have. So do that. Google the name of your company. Look where stuff is coming from. If there's a bunch of photos down at the bottom, they're all out of date. Go to those directories and update them because all of this stuff matters. So as much as you can keep stuff somewhat updated and current, it will allow your Google result to just like appropriately represent the company you have now.
Yeah, so for me, the NAP, I'm taking it to an NA, and I'm going to say after a certain amount of directories that you've worked on from an authoritative standpoint, you should just stop focusing on it because I don't think Google cares about those people anymore.
Yes, Jack.
Sarah's asking, does it just need to be free Yelp and Angie listing, or paying them for ads, etc., make it better to Google?
So I'll restate the question.
Yeah.
Can you just do the free listing on Angie and Yelp and other directories, or do you need to pay them? I would love to. All right, 3, 2, 1. We're both going to say our thing. 3, 2, 1.
Never
Don't
pay
pay them. Yes. Yeah, because like these people are leeches.
I didn't know how hard we could go about this,
yeah.
but to me, it's extortion, it's blackmail. There's been
BBB does it too.
but
They'll
it's
call
been
you up, like-
documented of that Yelp. You can build up a Yelp, and you'll be paying them the moment you say you're done. Reviews will just disappear. And what's terrible on my end is I know that like we talk about Google Maps a lot because that's the one we can work with the most, and we've been able to solve a lot of the algorithmic things. But Apple Maps, I hate that Apple Maps uses Yelp.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing. So you may go, hey, I want to rank higher on Apple Maps. I don't know, pay Yelp, I guess, because that's the only thing I can tell you that it works through Yelp.
Free directories are good. And like, yes, they will bombard you. It doesn't mean you shouldn't join. Just get better at pressing the end button.
Got a question from Sam. He said, is there such a thing as a service that puts you onto these directories, etc.?
Yes.
Would it just be on Google Maps SEO or something like that? Is it what you guys are currently working on?
So this Google Maps SEO stuff is not mainly focused on the directory listings. We do it as part of our normal SEO service, Hook Agencies, but I'll just even give you one that I think is good, White Sparks Local Citations. It puts a bunch out there very quickly, And if you're going to get one, I might recommend the White Spark Local Citations one. And I do think it makes sense to use one of these services because it keeps everything consistent. I like them. And let's go to this next one. I want to keep on moving here. Best of lists for plural type searches. So we rank very highly on the map. If you Google, and I mean, tell us, throw in the comments where we rank. Google Minneapolis marketing. So when I Googled it the other day, we were second in the organic listing and we were first on the maps. Besides having a lot of reviews and having more reviews than most agencies do, which I do think is a big deal, one of the main reasons I believe that we rank high on the maps is because of this list. So if you haven't tried this, particularly for plural searches, because people like Yelp and people like Angie are making these lists, and we want to compete. If somebody Google's best roofing companies in Des Moines, Iowa, why not have that list? Because some people are searching best roofing companies. They're trying to get an idea of who it might be. Now, when you make this list, you can go one of two ways. One's super classy, one's still kind of classy. So the super classy version is to do one and not include yourself.
Yes.
The little less classy one is like putting yourself first. I personally would put myself first because I'm not that classy. I've tried it before, like in a case where I wanted to like impress people with how classy I was, where I didn't, and it does impress people. Some people get weird when you make lists like this, but in general, it's a very positive thing and it works. So if you haven't tried it, experiment, and then you can do different cities too with this. Let's go to this next one.
Actually, can I real quick? This is something I know from my standpoint, you invented this, which to me is crazy. It's a crazy, amazing thing that Tim created. Was this element of I'm going to list all of my all my competitors in my city. I'm going to be in there or not be in there. I'm going to say why they're good. But what it does from a Google Maps standpoint, because I know that's probably going to be a question somewhere, is what does this do for Maps? What it does is it connects you to all the other people that are actually connected in Maps. So you're getting an authoritative, especially if you list the same stuff, because again, now we're making citations again. You're just making them on your own website. Citations, it connects you, and it makes it really, really interesting for Google to go, they are really close to these people. They know what they're talking about. So,
and this is there's 500 marketing companies in Minneapolis, and to be number one is insane. Yes, Jack.
Valerie says, where are we putting these lists? Is this a blog post on our website?
Yes, this can be a blog post on your website. And if your website isn't authoritative at all, you could even experiment with like making a LinkedIn article, because LinkedIn's authority is very good.
That's true.
Because and what do they call that? They call it something, it's like, what is the category of a leech?
I have no idea where we're going with this.
Oh,
You've
no.
lost me. Next slide. We're just going to get Tim out of his.
No, it's good. It's like, if you're making something on a site that already has authority, it's a good thing. It's not a negative thing.
Gotcha.
How to actually rank for plurals. One, because someone searching for best roofing companies is often looking for a list. Why not show up above Angie and Yelp? They're going to make these lists no matter what. Do you want to sit there and pay them forever to make them, or do you just want to do it yourself? Create the own list with your companies in your area as you see it, and include a screenshot of reviews. This is a hack, because like images, once again, are very good for SEO. Use all the keywords in the file name. I know most of you aren't going to do that. You're going to skip that part thinking it's not important because it's not visible. It is. Google is reading those file names, and it really helps those things rank. You can screenshot from different parts of the internet. So you can say, hey, this is over here on Angie and over here on Google and over here. So you're curating these reviews. And I always do positive reviews, even of my competitors. I'm screenshotting as well that they have a 4.7 and not a 4.9 bias, but that's just incidental. And also like one other thing that you can do, and I'm just being honest here, is like kind of pigeonhole them a little bit. Like they're really good with repairs, or whatever. Like you're complimenting them, but you're complimenting something very specific. And then you're positioning yourself as, and if you need a full replacement, guess who's here?
Yeah, for us, we did that. We've done that a few times with people for plumbing. It's like they're great with toilet repairs, because in all reality, I don't want to do a toilet repair.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to replace the toilet, But I'm going to focus on, we're specialists at water heaters because that's the high margin ticket item. I'm going to focus on that. Let someone else work on building all the little toilet things or leaky faucets or stuff like that.
So an example could be 7 best HVAC companies in Louisville, real reviews 2025. And if you're in, let's say, Yoast SEO or Rank Map, or excuse me, Rank Math is a different, it's an SEO plugin.
Yeah.
You got to make sure that you don't go past the character limit. Otherwise, it's starting to be a ... which isn't compelling. So make sure you're within that. I didn't test this headline. It might
I don't think it fits.
Dude, that's funny that we're both good enough to see that problem.
That's a problem.
You probably have to get rid of in.
Yeah.
It'd just be 7 best HVAC companies, Louisville, and then real reviews 2025. Yes, Jack.
Jan is asking, do we have an example list that we can see?
Yes. I mean, the best one I can give you right now would just be to do Minneapolis marketing and look at that. I'm sorry, it's not a home service business, but that would be the one to go look at right now.
Yeah, if you,
Blog post for
Yes,
Yeah,
it's a
y'all's blog
post. So
post.
if you Google Minneapolis marketing and find our blog post on there, that's a good example. And then let's go to the next slide here. And I'll let you take over a little bit. I've been talking a lot.
So we're talking about initial GBP optimization here. And the reason we're talking about it is because, Tim has talked a lot about the website stuff and what that looks like. But in reality, when people come to their GBP optimization, they do one or two things. Either they don't fill it out appropriately, they're not comprehensive in what they do.
The left side.
The left side. Or they go ham and just go completely crazy. And now they've got Christmas lights up on their house 24/7, 365. We want to be in the sweet spot of, if Google gives you something to fill it out. Be truthful, be honest. And I know we're going to get into a few more things, but basically, you don't want to live in the left house. You can, physically speaking. It's got a roof. It's got some walls. In Minnesota, you're going to be freaking freezing, but it'll exist. It's there. And this is what I see whenever I'm looking at a lot of home services, in all reality, is they do this, which I guess I should probably preface that by saying 56% of home service companies haven't even claimed their GBP. 56%. That's a crazy statistic. Jeez. And then when they do, they just have it. It exists. And they don't take the time to build it out. What we want is we want to live in the house on the right-hand side. At least that's my right-hand side, right? Yeah, okay. That's what we really want to focus on, is make sure we fill it out. We put our services, we put our products, we take the time. It'll take roughly an hour to an hour and a half to really get everything in there the way you want it to.
One thing to note is sometimes you did fill this out a long time ago, but they've added new stuff.
They have. They do.
So every year or every couple quarters, I guess, every half a year, go in and just see if they have any new things that they've added.
Right.
Things that you can do now that maybe you couldn't do 2 years ago, like products.
Yeah.
Now you can put water heaters, and this is the type of HVAC unit. Like, you can put a bunch of products in there. It's very visual.
It is. It is.
And I think just utilizing everything that they've got is an opportunity if you haven't done it.
Well, and it helps you from a ranking standpoint. I will tell you, there are some customers that we've put this on, the system on, and we'll just do just the initial optimization. And they will jump within days from where they were up just massively where they are. And I know we'll get to some rankings and some examples of some people that have worked with us already and gone upward. But in this situation, like, we had one person, they went from 0% being it's being visual in their city to like 72% just by optimizing appropriately.
And we're trying to give all this to you right now, so you don't have to work with us at rankmap.ai. You just have to listen closely and do as much of this as you can. Yes, Jack?
Anthony is saying, I filled out everything on Google, but it says 80% profile strength. Is the other 20% advertising with them?
No, you can get it to 100% without that. So there's something that's being missed. I would have to
it's hard to look at it without looking at it, but of course, rankmap.ai. No, just kidding.
Or you're not.
Yeah. Or I'm not joking.
Yeah,
you should definitely get our service, rankmap.ai.
So this is it. Yeah, I forgot this slide was here, but yeah, basically the do's for GBP optimization: fill out everything. I said that. If Google gives you a spot to fill it out, then fill it out. The next one: be honest in your business description. I can't stress this enough, that this is not something where you're going to list and stuff every keyword imaginable in this. You're going to be honest about who you are, what you do, how long you've done it, things of that nature, where you're really focused on being transparent about what you do. Because ultimately, yes, you want all the business you could possibly get. Everyone in this conversation is here to grow business. But You also want to make sure that in your efforts to do that, we don't do stuff that's considered black hat, because that's still a thing in GDP that gets you suspended. Because I've worked with helping people get unsuspended. It is a pain. It is one of the worst things, and it takes weeks to do, and now you're losing business because you weren't honest in the first place. Number 3, list your real services. Again, this is a thing where, I've seen some plumbers who they'll be like, well, if I put in pool repair, I'm not really going to do pool repair, but maybe that'll get me out there and it'll be something that's not actually the pool. That's terrible because you're going to get a bad review.
Yeah.
You're going to have people that are upset. They're not going to be happy about it and things of that nature. It's really just list what you do and then move past it, move on to something else.
Like also people will be like location, like I'm thinking about LSAs and stuff like that. They'll be like, we rank, or like we want as much location as we can. Like you don't want to go there.
No.
Don't make it your location.
No.
Don't say you service that area if you don't.
Right. Well, service that area, and then, I mean, I don't think we have it on the slides anywhere, but make sure your hours are right. Because one other thing that Google will lower your ranking, because they're listening, is when someone calls through, if they're calling through and it goes to voicemail and they're determining how long you're on the call with that, Google's going to pull you down. They're going to start pulling you down. Eventually, they can actually suspend you if you're not answering the phone. So that's the thing.
I've seen a lot of people that are like, we're open until midnight.
Yeah, 24/7.
Are you though?
Is it an AI system answering? Because Google doesn't like that yet. They love AI, but they don't like that yet.
hvac.ai here is good.
Okay.
That's an AI answering. We're just throwing out tools. Sometimes I feel like you come to these things, it's like I'm gonna throw out as many things. If I've heard, so our client Thielen Mechanical uses hvac.ai and they like it. It's like after hours AI answering.
And I have no problem with those. We've used them at Koala as well.
But you shouldn't put your time. You shouldn't put it on your hours.
But yeah, make sure that when you're talking hours that are someone that is a human person is going to answer the phone and help solve a problem. That's what Google wants you to give somebody. Because remember, Google is always trying to get people the best experience possible and to the right solution. That is their entire goal of their entire existence. Number 4, post images and photos. I want to make sure that I'm very clear on this, which I know we got another slide that talks a little bit about it, but you want to post real stuff. You want it to be real. It shouldn't all be perfect. It shouldn't all be crazy, perfection where sometimes it's over photoshopped and stuff like that. They want real pictures. The reality is people don't look at this as much as Google looks at this. Google wants to make sure you're on there, but people don't review these as much as they review like the reviews and things like that.
There's a lot of these like services out there like Data Pins and some other ones where they're putting coordinates into the photo. Does that work?
So there's an argument about that, whether that works or that doesn't work. What I will tell you is Google's release of what they have said is that they strip that stuff out of there whenever you upload it.
I think I've seen it. It's like it's really like something like it would be more to load that.
Yeah.
So they're not necessarily if it's gone from the code when you look at it.
Yeah.
It's probably not getting used to rank you.
Yeah. So Google has stated that they strip out locationality out of pictures whenever you're loading them. So that's not
Google's
really
always telling the truth, by the way.
Yeah, right. So
no, just kidding.
That's not really something that I would say you need to focus on as a.
I don't believe it helps.
Yeah,
I just wanted to see what your take. If your take differed from mine, but from everything I understand, the tools that do that, and a lot of times they're expensive, are bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately, I don't want to throw shade at anybody. I think we've probably thrown enough shade today, but
I'll throw some more shade.
There's a few companies out there.
They're not watching this. They're selling their shit.
That's fair.
I just want to be real, so you're not spending money on dumb shit.
Yeah. So there's a company out there that they specialize in home services. That I can just say the name. We're okay with that? No.
Go say it, but edit yourself. Go.
Okay. Murmur Labs. That they'll put a widget on your site. They have your technicians out there taking pictures, and they're uploading and doing check-ins from those locations and things like that. If you can get your technician to take pictures if you're a business owner, that's a task in of itself, especially to get them to open another app that's not our CRM. Anyway, they're out there, and it's like you check in, and then you upload. Well, Google says it strips that. Whether they do or they don't know. They're like the government a little bit. They're not going to tell us the truth all the time. But what I will tell you is, paying someone extra money for that feature is probably not the best idea.
It's almost like if you could get them to just post the images from the CRM to the Google Business Profile, that would be the ideal.
Yeah, that would be great.
Rankmap.ai.
Imagine that. That'd be awesome. All right, let's keep going. Next slide. So don'ts. Don't embellish or fake it. And I've hit this already a little bit, but I can't stress it enough. Do not say you do something you do not do. Do not pretend you do something close to something that you do and it's not something you actually fulfill. Because if you get bad reviews for it, one, that's going to take your ranking down. Two, if Google doesn't believe you do it, or for some, they require licenses for some of the categories. If you don't have a license for it, it's not going to help you out in any way, shape, or form. Number two, don't use AI images. This is a big one, and I said it a little bit about Photoshop, but AI images are even worse. Don't do that. That stuff gets you suspended. Just a bad idea. And then don't list categories or services you don't actually offer. Again, going into all of those things.
Jack.
It's a related question, I think. On Google's profile, it will ask if I speak other languages. If we do not, is it best to mark no, or just leave it alone and put yes for the languages we speak?
Interesting. I've never been asked that question. I've never even tested that out. I'm going to assume.
I would assume to just answer it honestly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's ultimately like I don't know if Google can track that if somebody calls up in Spanish, but obviously if you can't convert that lead because they're speaking Spanish and you don't know Spanish,
Yeah.
then there's no reason to try to rank for that.
Right. It doesn't do you a lot of good. Oh, post on Google Business Profile regularly. This is a thing. It's
Oh, I just wanted to say, like, the most powerful thing that you told me previously on this was like, its biggest secret, the biggest secret, Google Business
yes.
Profile. Yeah.
Okay. So most people don't realize this. Google Maps. We're going to say Google Maps. The technology itself was really converted in 2015 from Google Plus Places, or Google Places Plus. I'm not really sure exactly how that went, but it was an old social media network that Google was trying to build to combat with Facebook. They moved in the map section into that, and they recoded it for that. Since 2019, when they nixed Google Plus, they've never really changed the coding of this. They've never really changed what that is. So ultimately, Google Maps is geared and built off of a social media network from 2015.
That blows my mind.
Yeah. So when you look at that, a Google Business Profile is geared towards 2015 social media networks. With if you travel in time, that's Facebook, and at that time a lot of posts with pictures. At that time, Facebook would not promote what you posted unless it had a picture attached. Google very, very much is a regular situation here. You see, we have here Foxhaven Roofing Group, where they're posting every day. That is something that you should be focused on posting, and posting a good quality picture with a synopsis of what's going on at least 3 to 4 times a week. You don't necessarily have to post every day. 3 to 4 times a week, though, is something you should really focus on doing.
Jack.
Jason's wondering, every time I post an offer, it gets rejected. What are the reasons, and what is Google looking for?
That's another thing. We'd have to look at the offer. With this, I'm not really.
I've never gotten an offer rejected when I've
I've not either, so I'd have to look at that. But what I will say is, in this situation, we're not really talking about offers as much. We're just talking about just general content.
Yeah.
So this is less about trying to, I'll say, convert as much as it is trying to show up.
Yeah.
So I hate to just move past the question, but at the same time, I don't really have a great answer for that one. So you want to go ahead and take that?
Yeah, just discussing real work you complete with keywords for problem services and locations. If you're doing if you go back to the last one for 1 second, then it's saying the actual job, cedar shake roof. They're saying the location in Stewart. They're actually talking about real problems, the damaged shakes. All these things are things people could be Googling related to your company, and the ability to be more comprehensive allows you to get credit for those keywords. Once again, we're talking about a social media network.
Yeah. 100%.
If Google Business Profile and Google Maps is a social media network, we can think about it totally different. So comment in the chat if that's say social media. Google Maps is social media in the chat, because I want everyone to lock this into their mind. Because if you realize Google Maps is social media, then you're going to post the right amount. Because I know a lot of you are smart. You're posting on social media every single day. Why are you not posting on Google Maps if it can be one of the #1 drivers of business on Google?
Yeah, so I mean, that's it. Again, on here, don't keyword stuff. Use good regular practices, things of that nature. But do post. I know some companies, they post 3 or 4 times a day. I know some companies post once a day. I know some companies, unfortunately, that they haven't posted in a year. I mean, it's the way of telling Google, hey, I'm still here, I'm still active. It's a social media network. It loves content.
Let's get the next one.
So great reviews. This is where the Koala Cooling team shines, and so I'm proud to be able to represent them in this situation. This is Koala Cooling was started at the end of December, or it was in December 2018. Really launched in Q1 of 2019. And you can see this is our review count, straight up 100%. Pulled it straight out of Google. We have a way to do a review audit to see when those actually came in, and this is what we have here. And so you can see the start of the company that normally happens. You get a nice little movement up there, but eventually the movement of it just kind of stays the same or kind of tilts down a little bit. It stops progressing as fast as you want it to. You'll see a star right there in Q1 of 2023. That is when my business partner and I, Paul Olson, we developed a process for gaining reviews, which we've seen other people use now since. And I mean, I'm not saying it's the most brand new thing in the world, but and we'll get to what it is, but you'll see there that it totally turns upward. There's a whole different element in that, and having a process for creating reviews is one of the biggest by far things you need to be able to focus on to help elevate. I would say there's 5 key things, and Google reviews is probably in the top 2 of those 5 things.
And you're willing to give us your secret sauce right now?
For the reviews? Absolutely. Yeah. It's not overly difficult, if I'm being honest. Go ahead to the next slide. So our way we get reviews, and I'll throw a shout out to my boy Michael Tovar here, is we have badges that we hook on our belt loops, and literally on the front it has our name, has our phone number, name, position, company. On the back it has a QR code. Leave us 5 reviews. We will go to a house. We will promise them 5 reviews at the 5-star reviews at the door. We will work through and basically say if at any point in time we're not doing that, let us know. We'll adjust to do what we need to do, and then we're bold enough to ask for them after the call. We say, hey, did we give you that 5-star service? They say yes. We literally pull the badge out and say, will you scan this and give us a 5-star?
It's on a little zip cord, right?
Correct.
So you pull it out and you
Correct.
hand it to them, and then they do the QR code.
Correct. 18 months, went up 600 reviews for a company that had a total of 5 trucks. Last year, we ended the year at 2.4 million is where we ended. So we are a tiny company. But we have PE firms and all kinds of people calling us all the time thinking we're larger because our reviews are so much higher, and we've only been in business for 5 years.
What did you guys do this past year?
What? I'm sorry, say that again?
Revenue this past
2.4.
year. All right. And you guys know to have that many 5-star reviews.
I'm sorry. Let me roll it back. 2.4 was 2023. Again, I'm still in 2024 mode. 3.5 is where we went.
So it went up 1 million. They've been going up a lot on reviews, and it's crazy. Like big map rankings for these guys. That's what we're talking about. And time will continue to grow this business because Google Map rankings are such a big part of what drives business these days. Let's get to the next one.
So the next one, let's say you don't have techs that are bold enough to do this. These are 3 companies. There's others that you can use as well that just do follow-up text requests where when they finish the job, if you have, most of these integrate with almost any CRM, that you finish the jobs, it texts them, asks how they did, and then gives them a link to your your Google Maps for them to leave a review. What I will tell you is if you'll do the other process, about 90% of the time you're going to get a review. If you do this process, about 30% of the time you'll get a review. So there's a huge delta, but it is a way to get more reviews. It does work. It is not something that I would say, hey, this is going to be our biggest one, though. If we want to really focus on reviews, we want to try the other method, and it'll really kill it. Matter of fact, we have one of these at our company that has the ability to do reviews. We never turn it on. We use it for other stuff.
Which one do you use?
Do what?
Which one do you use?
Chirp is the one we have.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we use it in our company and
use it for other stuff.
Like we use it for
database
other
activation or whatever.
Marketing, text messaging, things like that. We don't use it for the review side.
Cool.
Yeah.
Next one. Respond to every review.
Yeah. So do you want me to keep going with this one, or?
Sure. I might even throw a few things in here, but let's answer a question real quick.
Oh yeah.
It's about the review badges. How would the review badge work for multiple locations? It's from Ashley.
Yeah. So we actually we've done it 2 different ways. My favorite way is not the way we currently do it, but I have a person who runs those badges now, so I don't tell her what to do because that's micromanaging. But you can either do the QR code on the back that's specific to whichever location, or you can do a QR code on the back that lets them choose. There's softwares you can go QR and then they're going to choose. The one we have now, if I were to hold it up and y'all scanned it, it would literally say, hey, do you do HVAC or plumbing? Which one was
and
it?
then it will direct them to
that specific link. My preferred method is if it's a plumber, they just have the plumbing one. If it's an HVAC, they have the HVAC one.
Nice.
This is my preferred method. back to here.
And we got responding to every review. I'll let you go start.
Yeah. So with us, one of the things that we have developed is we have an automatic, and so you can say your thing.
Rankmap.ai.
Rankmap.ai. All right. We have an automatic AI system that will respond to reviews for you if they're 4 or 5 stars. If they're not 4 or 5 stars, it'll email you saying, "Hey, got a bad review. We need a personal touch here." But ultimately, respond to every review. It's important that you do so, and that you're positive as much as humanly possible. I think we probably need to go to the next slide for the next points. Yeah. So things to keep in mind when responding to reviews: defend yourself, but don't be defensive. And that's really, really difficult to straddle that line, but it's something that's very, very important. Is there are times you're going to get a 1-star review, and you're going to be like, "That's not fair. That's not what happened." Probably most of the time, if you believe in your text and you believe in who you are as a company, you're going to believe that's not how it happened. You need to make sure you defend yourself, but don't necessarily say, "Hey, this is a terrible thing." Positive reviews, I guess all these are specifically for negative reviews, so I probably should say positive reviews. Just respond with a happy thank you. Address what's been done. This is a spot where
That's good. Address what's been done, because that's keywords.
Correct. This is a spot where you can put keywords in here.
In your reviews,
100%.
and the keywords actually help. You can do locations in your review responses. This is all content for Google to understand what your business is doing.
100%. So going back to the negatives, address the issue, but be gracious, right? There are times where you're going to have a customer that they are the problem. You may have fired that customer even because they're that much of the problem.
Let's be honest; it's almost always the customer.
Yeah, I mean, well, and then be authentic and be you. This is one of the things that I say. If you're a fun person, be authentic. If you're not a fun person, don't be a funny person. Don't try to make up something that you're not good at. I always go back to the Hitch line of you cannot use what you do not have from the movie Hitch. Just be you. That's what people want to see. Be you, and it's okay to professionally tell your customers they are wrong. This is something that most people will disagree with, but it's okay to do that. Absolutely.
I'll tell you
I don't know
my
what kind
story.
of time we have, so
I'll tell you my story of my first real low review. It's actually a 2-star.
Okay.
2-star review.
Is it still up?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I let it be up because, and the funniest part was I thought once I got a negative review on our Google business profile, feel free to go read it. It was somebody that had an actual problem with our service. They didn't complete their contract. They kind of did it very early, so we didn't get to fully like time. SEO takes time, for instance, and we weren't able to complete the contract. And in fact, we didn't penalize them, even though the contract said there's some kind of fee for ending early and things like that. But I thought it was going to kill our business. It didn't. We had the best quarter right after that. We had the best quarter we've ever had right after that. And when I answered it, what I did is I just said, I gave examples of what we did to address those problems. And we said, we wish we could have made this right. Feel free to call me personally, that type of thing. So the empathy, and I'm not sure how many people read that review, but I'm sure some of the people the 23 customers that we got this past quarter probably read that review. What I feel like is good about it is it's authentic that some people have bad experiences. It's not perfect. And that if you got that removed, because you can pay to get negative reviews.
There are services
you can,
that
but I'm not. I
just
just don't think that's really it's okay to have some negative stuff.
Absolutely.
It's a real thing. And in our case, I answered with empathy.
Yeah.
And I knew that other people are going to be reading this, and that's what you should think about. Is other people are going to be reading this. So make sure you're answering in such a way that you're okay with that.
Yeah. So one of the things I'll say is it's been heat map proven that when customers actually go look at reviews, most of the customers will go to the negative reviews first.
Yeah.
They'll look at the positive ones after they've read the negative ones, and they're not looking at what the customer said. They're looking at what your response was. If your response is you didn't have one, that's bad. If your response is being defensive or being a jerk, that's also bad. Then they're like, I don't know how I can handle this, because if you do mess up, then I have to worry about how you're going to respond to me.
That's exactly. I think people read I think that people read that and they still work with us.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going here. Just a few examples. I'm not going to stick on this slide very much, but this is what the tracking system looks like in rankmap.ai. And you can get there's other kind of heat map type services like this out there, but ours is rankmap.ai. It's one component that you're able to look at the rankings live of how you're ranking in the city. And it's one, obviously, in that area of that city, they're number one for the term roofing contractor. And in this case, there's more spots in the city now where they're ranking number one. Let's go to the next one here. And like these are kind of technical, so I want you to make them simple for us.
I'll make them as simple as possible. I'll explain them as best I can. So there's two things we look at, and I'm actually going to have you go back and forth real quick. Go back one real fast. So every dot here is a mile. We've got a 13 by 13 mile grid here. Every dot is a mile, and ultimately, go back if you don't mind. And then we've got two things we look at: ATGR, average total grid rank. There's a score from 1 to 21. We never go above 21 just because we're trying to keep it simple for math. The lower the score, the better you win. So if you flip back one more time, you'll see the middle one there up there says ATGR of 3.61. I don't know if you're able to show, like, yeah, there we go. 3.61, and then we move over into January, it's 2.67. This is the average total grid ranking. We're trying to get the lowest numbers possible. So basically we want this to say we're closer to 1 than we are 21. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like a big giant game board. The better you're doing on the whole game board is this number right here.
More green.
More green.
More green equal better.
Yeah. All right, go back again, please. All right. SOLV, or share of local voice, is a score from 1 to 100. And basically, we're just going to average all of those dots and say the higher that percentage is, for everyone that's 3 and below, we're going to count that as a positive. We want to do all of the dots 3 and below. Is that simple enough?
Nope.
No. Okay. Fair enough.
Let's go to the next one too.
Yeah.
I just wanted one more. This is another example, very aggressive. And a lot of this you're saying is from the initial optimization. This is pretty early. So
This
2 months in.
This one's had 2 months in. We had one client, and I'm not sure exactly the name of that client, that we did a very
Look how
similar
much green
jump
there
in.
is, though.
Yeah, that is a lot. So one of the things I do tell people with this is that it is faster than traditional SEO.
Yeah.
A lot cheaper than traditional PPC.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a good middle ground to really focus on
And
where your customers are.
RankMap.ai, like our normal SEO service is $4,800 a month. We have enterprise solutions that go up from there. And we did just add a starter SEO, traditional SEO for $2K a month. But this is $1,000 a month for a limited time. So RankMap.ai, if you want to get that pricing now, I don't know how long we're going to do it for. There's been high demand. And like I said, either way though, the point here is you should be ranking. You should be tracking this.
Yes.
You should be tracking this and trying to get more green. That's
Absolutely.
essentially every single month. If you're getting really into Google Maps SEO, whether you use our thing or somebody else, you should have a heat map tool like this, or a map ranking tool like this, and trying to get more green.
Yeah, so with this, SOLV, I'll hit this one more time, try to make it better. Basically, it's taking the whole grid and saying how much of that is 3, 2, or 1. The end. We're shooting that for being
3, 2, or 1, because that's the
possible.
real thing. That's
Yes.
what's going to make you money. If you're 3, 2, or 1, if you're 4,
Sorry.
probably not money.
No, it's still green, but it's a lighter green,
Yes.
so it's not money green.
Got 2 quick questions.
Yeah.
Quick questions, and we're wrapping this up, just so you guys know. So we'd love your questions. Ask all the questions you got. We were ranking people on maps. Hopefully these things will help you rank on maps.
Yeah.
What questions do you have about that?
Quick one on badges, if we go back to that.
Okay, back to
How
badges.
do you do the badge when you have a team on the job, or are they not rating the technician but the company?
So for us, I'm a big believer in, I'll pay anybody who can get their name on a review. So they scan the review. It doesn't we ask the customer to put people's name in the review. So I will regularly, if we have a plumbing and it's a team of 2, they'll have 2 names on there. I've had it where we've had a team of 2 and they're training 2 teams. And there's 4 names. I'll still pay those guys.
The conversion rate goes up when the technician or the plumber or the roofing consultant or whatever asks for their name to be included.
Correct.
Hey,
Absolutely.
will you give me a review? Hey, will you do me a favor and give me a review? That actually turns up the percentage that they actually will do it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We have 2 questions on Rank Map. One is, does the particular roofing company from the map that we were showing have more than 1 location?
No, they do not.
Okay.
Just one.
Just one. And then Diane is asking, how do you see other areas you rank instead of right by your address? Meaning, I would like to see 20 miles south of us.
So within the tool, we can pull it and move it, but what I will tell you is more than likely, what I always look at is the outer perimeter based off of where you're at on that 13 by 13 grid. If your numbers are high already there's no point in pulling past that.
At a certain point, you might need another location over there.
Or just move.
And we do have for our pricing for rank map, it's $750 for additional locations. If you do have additional locations, at a certain point, it doesn't necessarily make sense to try. Like if you've got one location, to me, 20 miles is a pretty legitimate ranking amount. Like if we're going to be pulling out that much, it's a harder ask as far as like what's a realistic range to rank for.
So when I originally kind of built this out, the reason I picked 13 miles is very simple: profitability. I don't want my trucks driving more than 15 miles away from me. I just don't. We live in Austin. It's a giant area. There's a lot of traffic, hard for people to get around. I don't want my guys driving 20, 30 miles south or anywhere that's not remotely close to our location. It does a few things: profitability, spend less on gas. It makes us look bigger because our trucks are centralized in the same location over and over.
I'm a big fit, like as far as our strategy on marketing goes, and I respectfully, like I understand there's different situations out there, but I really believe in tighter marketing. More marketing in a tighter area will get you a lot higher return.
Yeah.
So just noting that's my philosophy on marketing. Jack,
Oh, yeah, right.
any other questions? Otherwise, this has been a blast. What time is it right now?
It is just after 1.
So I'm going to just wrap this up with a little, this is the client, Built Right. He talks about Vinny, our account manager. He is a wizard at his craft on Google Ads. We made this beautiful, fast website. Keywords have improved 500%. First page on 5 different cities. I don't know why I have that twice. Let's go to the next one. And then this is an example of the other ranking. So we're talking mainly about maps today. RankMap.ai is our service. So if you go to put that in your browser, you'll get to the landing page talking about that on our website. But this is the other parts of the ranking. So if you want to rank also on the other parts of Google, we have 2 different tiers of that. There's starter SEO that's mainly appropriate for really new companies. Starter SEO is $2K a month. And then we have, this is for the regular listing underneath the map. It's 4.8K for our normal SEO service. Basically, that just means that RankMap.ai is a really good deal. And most companies that do serious SEO are more expensive. Maps just is one of those things where you're able to get a little bit faster results.
Yeah, so I was going to say, if I may point out on our graph here, December 2024 is when it was actually his first month of using this service. Mm-hmm. So his peak month actually is with the rank
so
map
we're
system.
helping.
Yeah.
It's helping us.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
and then I think there might be one more slide. If not, oh yeah. So this is tracking other local keywords beyond maps. We've got Indie Roof Repair and Built Right here. One more. It should be tracking. This is also White Sparks local rank tracker. So just to give you some sense of, this is how we track rankings for the. You don't want to just be tracking on like Ahrefs or SEMrush, just because those are kind of general and national keywords. This is allowing us to rank in those local areas, or allowing us to track those local areas for ranking. Yes, Jack.
Jason is asking, Tim, now that your staff is growing, do you have any plans to take on clients that don't currently meet your threshold for yearly sales and maybe help them get there?
So we have been with these services that are a little cheaper. Like, I'm just not trying to be a burden, basically, financially on your company, and that's why we've said under 2 million, for instance, is not appropriate for our services. I would say, to me, that it opens up that 1 to 2 million range for this to be appropriate, particularly rank map. Mm-hmm. So I believe we could help you, and I've told my sales team that they're allowed to sell this to a little bit earlier companies because of the ability to get a higher return quicker. So from that 1 to 2 million range, I still believe to a certain degree, you're gonna have to pull up your shit by your bootstraps. Like in that 200,000 to 500,000, even to the million range, there's so much. It's hard for an outside company to help you crank that up. There is a certain degree that I want you to know that, like, there's a lot of boots on the ground marketing that has to happen. There's a lot of initial stuff that's really hard. Well, and I don't want to be a burden. So I still have like kind of that threshold of that million. Generally, we will make an exception if you're a fucking killer. But this is really like, my whole vision for Hook Agency is like, it's for the best companies, and I'm kind of using that financial thing to like allow us to like make sure we're not being a financial burden.
Well, we can certainly make this or this is something that would work for smaller, younger companies that it does work. The thing I will tell you is at a minimum, you've got to have 10 reviews.
Yeah.
You have to be able to grow reviews probably by at least a minimum of 5 a month for it to, because otherwise we're spinning our wheels if they can't grow any of their own reviews.
Yeah.
Just plain and simple, give you all the tools of what we do and help you learn that. Happy to do it. But ultimately, if you can't get out there and grow reviews, that's going to be a struggle. You have to have a minimum of 10 for Google to even think you're a real company. So that's a thing. And then
I say 30 plus. Like it's a problem if you don't have 30 plus 5-star reviews. I just
would-
want to note, sorry, real quick.
Yeah,
just
go ahead.
For those of you who want to get started on this, scan this QR code, set up an intro call now. So use your phone, you all know how to use QR codes. I was about to explain it. Go to this, set up an intro call now for this next week. Like I said, limited time at this price. I don't know how long it's going to be, but highly recommend getting started now. And this, that's the way to do it. QR code. Yes, Jack.
We have a question from Anthony asking, how can I rank in other cities on my Google profile, or is it just in the one city?
So for you to rank, you're going to need to have a satellite of some sort, and it's going to have its own reviews and whole its own Google business profile. It's not, Google Maps is built for local services.
Yeah. That's where it's like, if you don't want to have other satellite things,
Yeah.
and usually it has to be a physical space of some type,
100%.
even if it's renting a desk or something like that, that is an option. You can do things like that.
Yeah, so for Google's regulations, you have to have a place where you can receive mail.
That's it.
So
So you could use somebody's house. It's
can.
weird. But the other thing is that that's where traditional SEO allows you to rank in those other things by having pages.
yeah, I need to clarify one thing. Sorry, where you can receive mail and that is a office space, because you can get like a UPS box that has a suite number on it. That does not work.
Gotcha. Yes, I know that.
It used to work.
Yeah.
Does not work
Does
anymore.
not work anymore.
Don't do that.
And you can just pull us up as big on here. You can get rid of the slides if you want, Jack. Perfect. But it's time for any more questions. You have a wealth of information for me on the more traditional side, and for Kyle as a pioneer of this software. There are other softwares like this out there.
There are.
But this one is the best one that I've found, and I'm extremely excited to be working with you to offer it to our customers.
I'm excited as well. While we're getting questions in, let me just, I want to say one more thing about reviews. Just for everybody to understand the math on this, for every 1 star you get, you need 30 5-stars to combat that 1 star and negate it. So that's a big thing for me to make sure people know when they're talking about reviews.
Yes, Jack.
A follow-up on that other cities question is, so tagging my pictures in other cities does me no good.
Yeah, for the most part, that's not. I don't see any way that that's actually going to help you when it comes to ranking, because Google's stretching you out, and you can stretch out. Again, I found that the 13 mile is exactly where we want to focus. We can theoretically stretch a map out 30, 40 miles, but it's just going to be harder for you to rank higher and higher because Google's going, this is for local.
How many people are in your city, and how many people are in that city are two questions that are going to help you understand whether there's a chance. Because like I said, I've seen it happen, but you're talking about much smaller cities, 100,000 people. The city that they're ranking in has 10,000. It's like when it's really stretched out and there's not 20 companies in that city, and it'll pull it'll say that company. You'll search that city name, and yours will come up even though it's in a different city, because there's just not a lot of other companies.
Yeah, there are some that will be in one city and they'll rank in another. I've seen someone in the top 3 in their city over. What I would recommend is go ahead and schedule a call and let us pull a map for you.
Yeah.
And we can move that around and see what that looks like.
Jack?
Diane is asking, so our city we're located in is small, the city next door is huge. That is why I wanted to see how we rank in zip code next to us. So how do you rank in the zip code next to you?
I think honestly, there's some big questions here. I mean, because there is implications of like potentially it would be better to have the office in a different location, which I know that sounds crazy, but it's actually the truth.
Yeah. So one of the things I will say, I don't recommend this. As I developed all this stuff, I made adjustments for us because we actually wanted Our building for our 13 by 13, we're actually in the top right of the grid. And so it stretches down a little bit. So where it's not 6.5 by 6.5 for us, we actually are stretching downward as well. And so we're almost going a full 10 miles in one direction, trying to rank higher in that area, which we have.
Jack?
What about a competitor that is using their residential address as their Google address? I feel like that is a cheat to get in certain marketable areas. Doesn't that violate Google's guidelines?
What about competitors ranking with a residential instead of a office? Well, I was just saying maybe do that, and I think it's okay if we contradict each other.
No, I actually tell people all the time. One of the things in that is you have to have a PIN. One of the things that people don't realize is, and it says it in Google in their articles, that if you're using a service area, they're not going to push you out on the maps. So
It has to be an
it has
actual
to have
location.
a PIN, a location. So that's something that we did not put as a tip, but it's definitely something that needs to be
Should not
noted.
be a location. It's like they just don't
They don't put
respect
service.
those
Yeah, they
ones.
just don't put service areas out there. So it actually is okay. They allow you to put your location. You have to determine whether you're willing for them to be happy that someone might show up at your house one day.
And you got like for
It does not
certain types
violate
of company,
anything.
people, it doesn't violate anything. But if you can, I don't know. I mean, like I would fight them. I would try to fight it, but they won't take it down. So I'm
No.
sorry. That's just like fair game. Yes, Jack.
Sarah is asking, I have multiple Google locations. Is it okay to post the same picture in all locations? Will Google frown upon
I
it?
have multiple locations. Is it okay to do the same picture in multiple locations?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. However, just in general online practice, being repetitive is a bad thing.
Yeah.
So I would say you're probably going to lean more on this because again, this goes to website building, SEO, stuff like that. Of having a lot of repetitive stuff
Yeah,
is usually
unique.
not what you want. You want unique content.
Yeah, it's hard to know. Like, I don't know specifically because sometimes it's very hard to parse these things out in experiments, right? What I do know is that there are other social media platforms like TikTok that if you upload the same video that another user has uploaded in the past, it will algorithmically devalue what you've done. So I know that Google Maps is a
Social media.
social media platform, right? So is there a chance that Google may have something like, maybe they're not doing it now, maybe it's not a big deal, but maybe we'll devalue that in the future. Maybe. And I think that like when we make websites, we're trying to use authentic photos that are actually from the company, and we're trying not to have duplicate content. So it's a principle, but it's not necessarily one that we've proven out in Google Maps. Principle is generally you want unique content. Jack.
Not a question, but a comment. Valerie says they make you verify that you have an office and can take payment at a residential location. Our 40 by 60 shop is behind our house, and Google gave us a hard time, but we did a video with them and they approved it.
Google, and I'm just going to restate it, Google gave them a hard time because their office was behind their actual residence and they had to do a video for confirmation. That's very common, right?
Yeah.
Like having a physical, it just depends. It kind of like depends on how hardcore Google's going to get with certain
100%.
things. Like I think like LSA has all these like checks and balances to make sure you're that company, and like you have, but like there's sometimes they're more hardcore with the
Yeah.
getting things confirmed.
Well, LSA has $1 million that Google is saying they'll repay you if the person, like they're doing the Google guaranteed, so that's a little harder. But when it comes to, I understand what you're saying. I have been there. I've been there when we did and we opened up the second location for plumbing that's in the exact same building. They gave me a hard time. They immediately said they weren't going to verify it. I mean, it took me days. So yes, it's something that you should do, but it's also something that is going to be hard to do, which most of the best things are. So I understand what you're saying. They're going to make you verify. They're going to make you do a video. What things you need to have? You need to have a vehicle that is going to show that it's your company vehicle. You need to have a sign on whatever door that they can enter in to make sure people know that that's a place they can enter. Do they like it? No. Will they verify it? Yes, but you have to make sure that it is somewhere a customer can show up.
Any last questions? If not, hey, you basically got all the information we've got anyways. We don't even have anything more if we wanted to. So thank you. No, I'm just kidding. But thank you for being part of this. Thank you
Yeah.
for being on.
Happy to
and
be here, man.
traveling
This has been
all the
great.
way
Yeah.
from
From Texas.
Austin, Texas, and also being here for our event tomorrow. We've got the HVAC Champions Summit in office at Hook Agency, and if you ever get a chance to be at a event at the Hook Agency office, it is a very good time. And I appreciate you guys being part of this. Thank you very much. Let us know if you liked the webinar. Comment if you enjoyed it. And thank Jack, the
Yeah,
video
Jack, you did
guy,
great,
who did an
man.
amazing
Awesome.
job. And just guys, thanks for being part of it. See you guys later.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I don't know if I just want to say thank you because I'm excited to be here for the summit myself. We're going to learn, Koala Cooling is going to learn from that. Again, my business partner here with me. So thank you. Happy we can have this together, or we can do this technology as well. But thank you from Koala Cooling as well for having us here.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.